but like the most people have no vision for this, and that's okay. Like we could probably talk for hours about how the financial crisis was not the fault of the bank, but was the fault of the legislator. But people don't want to feel that way. People want a big bad villain, and that's kind of triggering. Like I've seen a lot of people in the US talk about how Obama should have put the bankers in jail. And it's like, are we that separated from reality where we just need to blame someone as if we're a fucking mob of retards that are just there to like, let's burn down the person that did this, and we're just going witch on 2.0. And just to explain, because I know that 99% of people think I'm insane when I'm saying any of this. The reason why there was a financial crisis was because a bunch of things got the legislation inside of a bunch of financial tool got loosened in the US, and the whole fucking planet was. Can I draw Europe and Greenland? Okay, we got we got it. We got it. That's the HERF. Not that bad, okay? Not that bad. So let's redo that one. All right, that's cool. So the whole fucking HERF, minus Canada, because we're based, essentially invested in these US assets that were crazy unregulated. And that unregulation, the lack of regulation, made it so the US created the most unstable ass system in the world that could fail very easily. Like, there's a reason why it was predictable, why people could make money on the fall of whatever the fuck that was. It's because it was retarded policies and other countries, especially in Europe, which invested crazy heavily in the US, that whenever the US they fell too. In Canada, we didn't have that issue because we have strong regulations that make sure that we cannot buy into these retardation, which is cool. So here, like saying we want to put the bankers in jail, I'm sorry, you've created a board game with some rules, and right now you're saying, hey, my rules that I created are so fucking retarded, we crashed the entire world economy. Let me put in jail the person that is forced to play by the rules. Because if you're a CEO and you don't play by the US rule, you're losing money, and the people below you, which are the investor, the common American, they will put you out of a job. But if you play by the rule, well, then you're the bid back guys that invested in a fucking shitty scheme that the US was sanctioning. So, sanctioning, condoning, like they helping create. So here the issue is the fucking voters that voted for their retarded representative that created retarded legislation that broke the system. There's a reason why we didn't have that issue in Canada. It's because in Canada, we have good governance, good legislation. Anyway, there should have been a specification, the no bonus for CEO or other large in charge from money government gave to save them. That's like not true, right? You get that. I think that most, like there's two, we can talk about this. There's two categories of bailout that were given. The first one was essentially the nationalization program that was created. That's the fuck. That has been so long since I've researched this. U.S. Housing Fannie Mae. Okay. So essentially, the US government bought some of the worst actor is a government-sponsored enterprise. So the idea was there were two very big holders of these mortgage-backed securities, or at least two big managers of these. There was Fannie Mae and another one. And if you let these fail, you essentially destroyed the American economy like no other way. So there was a couple of solutions that you could go with. Number one is to buy it outright. So you just take control of this thing, and your hopes is in the long term, you're able to stabilize the market through liquidity. So by pumping temporary cash into this thing, you can make sure that none of the mortgage fell through. You can make sure that the system continued to work as if there was no crisis, as if there was no retardation. And whenever you pull out of there, essentially whenever you're at a point where the market has stabilized and people pay their mortgage or fall through, you can end up making some kind of profit. So that's one part, right? Oh, okay. You know what? I spoke too much. TLDR. US government, you don't have to. US government bought a company that was failing, that if they let fail, they would fuck up their economy. So they have two choices. Either we buy it outright and we play the long game where we might make some profit through time, and they are making a profit. Right now, they own two companies that were holding these mortgage-backed securities, and right now they're making money on it. They have value out of it. Like the idea that the US lost money on these nationalization program for the two businesses that they did it with, like they made money on it. So for that part, for the nationalization part, that's one thing. And the other part, when we say bailout, often people talk more about this part, is the bailouts, which were just loans. The loans were like, let me get into it. That's the insane part. The banks and the companies that got the loans, they were asking to not get the loans because the loans, it costs money to have a loan, right? It costs money to have a loan, and the government essentially signed laws that were saying, hey, bitch, there's a market crisis right now, so get my loan. And the business owner, the fucking bank owner, were like, bro, we don't need your loan. We're like, the damage is already done. We don't need anything else right now. You already fixed the fucking problem with Fannie Mae and the other one that I'm not remembering. So the government just gave them loans and made them pay interest. They made money on the fucking loans. The bailout were not given money. They were loans. So the government, the US government, I'm saying, made money on the loans that the business didn't ask for. They made money on nationalizing businesses that were failing because they were following the retarded laws that the US implemented in the first place. So here, let's address what you said. I'm pointing at you, okay? I'm pointing at you. Let's address what you said. The bonus. You know what? I don't give a flying fuck about the bonus at that point. If a business, let's say that you are a big bank in the US, okay? You are Chase. I always start with the two letters and then I go back to cursive. Let's say that you are Chase. The choice if you give your CEO a bonus or not is your own, and it's for theirs to do. Now let's keep in mind the loans were profitable because they're loans. The nationalization was profitable and was in full control of the US. Chase choosing to give more money to their CEO when they were forced to take a loan, your money as a US citizen, your money is not being spent. Like, can we address that? The money of Chase is being spent on fees on the loan. The people owning Chase got fucked for a loan that the CEO had to manage. So if the CEO gets a raise or not, this has no binding, no logic, no remote, like, those two things are not, like, we cannot say, let's say that your employer has a bad quarter, you cannot come into your office and be like, we will slash your salary. Why? Because we had a bad quarter and we someone. Like, who knows? Maybe the Chase CEO was crazy good. Like, I'm using Chase, but I don't know for them if they had like a bonus or whatever. Like, maybe they were crazy good and they managed like the biggest fucking crisis and they came out on top. They came into the shittiest situation, came out richer. And that's what a CEO is to. That CEO should be granted some kind of compensation, some kind of bonus. I think we all agree on that. Like, I'm not saying that you don't agree with that. So, like, yeah. Child following the house rules makes a mess. Would you give the child a sweet or ask it to help fix the mess? That's not a fair comparison. Because right now, we need to describe what the house rules are. Let's say that the house rules are that whenever you come into the house, you keep your shoes on, even if there's dirt under it, and you need to walk across the house one way and come back, and you cannot like clean your shoes beforehand. And then, whenever that child comes around, they're like, holy shit, there's dirt all over the place because I followed the rule. And at that point, they try cleaning up behind them, right? They try to fix the solution, to do the best to reduce the damage that happened on their side. And then you come in and you're like, you little shit, I'll beat the shit out of you because you put some dirt in my house, you little bitch. It was your rule to put dirt in the house. It was you, not you, of course, MB, but it was you, the government, that chose to make this retarded legislation that forces them to do these things. And here, we're talking about, like, some people that engage with this with, like, they engage with this with some level of good faith, where they didn't ask for the loan, right? If we were to listen to the East Bank, they would have told them, hey, fuck off with your loans. We don't need it. We don't fucking need it. So here, that virtual, yes, I'm gonna beat the shit out of that child because of it, okay? Gonna beat the shit out of it. That noise. So, like, what are we talking about here? Right? I know that they're strong. Like, let's leave all of this behind, okay? Let's leave all of this behind. There are strong feelings, very strong feelings, because of what happened at that time. Like, in Canada, we don't feel it as much. We didn't feel it as much. We still had repercussions, of course. But in the US, these legislation meant that people were out of a home. Meant that people lost their job, meant that people lost their life saving, and even came out, like, in debt. That's horrible. That's, like, the worst thing that could happen in your life. Almost. Financially, at least. So, when we look at that, we understand that the feelings are very high. But that doesn't necessarily mean that we need to do a witch hunt, right? We don't need to go and hang the first CEO that we find because the feelings are high. This is what a democracy is. Like, a good democracy should be able to weather these things, should be able to have people in power that are like, look, we're going to do this, this, and this to make sure that they either stop feeling this way or feel better, but we're not going to blow down the fucking system in order to, blow up the fucking system just because there's feelings. Because or else, I would call this like a big break in how your democracy should work, right? Like, there's levels to this. I could say that the carbon tax in Canada, the carbon tax in Canada, like, cutting it is, we're adding colors now, cutting it was a big bad thing. We should have never cut it. But it's such an electoral loser that you're kind of forced to. You have to remove it or else you're not getting elected. Like can we all address that that's a bad thing? And then we can look at this and see that a witch hunt where we just go, let's fucking hang the CEO, is bad in the same way. We're doing the same thing where we have strong feeling about a thing. These feelings are not bind in reality, and acting on those is a bad thing. Well, at least acting in an unreasonable way. All right, that's a good fucking yap that we have right now. That's a good yap. We've got some segments in. Good yap. I'm gonna get some fucking hatreds in the comments, okay? How do we title this one? The financial crisis was based, actually. God level rage bait. But yeah, there's also a website tracking bailout. There's some fake website for this, but there's like some that are real. The idea is that they made a fuck ton of money on it. And like we can, like there's some people that will make the argument of like, oh, but if we adjust it and if it would have been invested elsewhere, they would have made more money. But it's like, come on, right? We're talking about stabilizing a fucking market. The fact that it did any return, like shut the fuck up, we're already good. So, yeah. Yep. Oh, it's Freddy. They've not even paid principal. So they're going to make more money back? Are you fucking kidding me? Haha, what the fuck? That's insane.